Now I'm gonna get straight to it. You know, this video is gonna be about Antarctica. You know, I guess what they would label conspiracy theories. You know, is there than more land than we have been told? You know, by mainstream media and government. You know, are there alien beings on the other side of the ice wall? Are there prehistoric animals, at least what we would label prehistoric, like they don't exist? Some say even what they would call the woolly mammoth, if I said that correctly. All kind of different prehistoric uh, animals. Some say that there's extraterrestrial life on the other side of the ice wall, different beings. You know, um, I first want to say this. You know, this video is for educational purposes only. Um, I haven't done my full due diligence fully about Antarctica, but I'll more than likely be making a part two, maybe even part three. I won't get too much because as more of I keep learning, you know, I may learn something more, and then to add the pieces to the puzzle. Now, me personally, I've heard, you know, that there is a lot more land than we've been told, you know, and a lot of, I guess, what they would label conspiracy theorists believe that there's a lot more land also, you know, over the ice wall in Antarctica. Now, I've heard some people say this is even where the fallen angels dwell, aka what people will even call the Anunnaki. Now, I'm gonna try to my best to stay on topic because you know knowledge is infinite. You're always learning something, you know, new and things to add. Now, from my understanding, there were more than one group of Anunnakis. So, but let's just say the evil Anunnaki. Some say this is where they dwell, and other extraterrestrial life forms along with prehistoric, you know, animals and much more land that we don't know of. Now, could that be far fetched or could that be true? You know, one thing about me, you know, I don't have to see certain things to believe it, even though I've seen a lot of things that some people may not even believe. So it could be a possibility, you know, because there are, you know, I don't believe that we're alone in this universe, you know, in this world, you know, I don't think we're alone. So with that being said, you know, there's a reason why a lot of these places are restricted, you know, with military govern, you know, over the areas like Area 51, Roswell, you know, even Antarctica and other, you know, areas. The truth is stranger than fiction, you know. I was having a conversation uh, with, you know, an individual that I know because I don't really associate with a lot of people, but this individual is a deep thinker like me, and and well, actually, it's two individuals, and they were like, you know, telling the story on how I guess Rome or whoever, you know, conquered the world and things like that, and we were debating like, you know, were these just the normal whites or the normal whoever they show you throughout history that for whatever reason or how it happened went over and conquered everything, conquered the whole world to be exact. Well, what you definitely have to have an understanding is that what you perceive to be human is not human. That's why you have things like what you would think is man, and then you have mankind. You know, I believe what they call, the evil, you know, extraterrestrials or evil reptilian humanoid shapeshifters. Again, some may even call the Anunnaki. And again, some people say there's good Anunnaki and bad Anunnaki. Just like you have angels, you have good angels, and you have bad angels, which will be a demon, but it's still one and the same, like light and dark, even though, darkness was first. But that's for a whole nother, story. Um, I do believe that there are a lot of different things that we don't know that's behind that ice wall and land and etc. You know, and who knows? It very well could be, what they would call the Anunnaki, because they talking about the return of the Anunnaki and this and that. Who to say all of them left? I don't think every single Anunnaki left. I always believe that there have been Anunnaki and other um, what they would label extraterrestrials as well as interterrestrials, because we have to have a big understanding that we are living with worlds within worlds within worlds. You know, the inner Earth has worlds in it. The surface Earth world. You know what I'm saying? The sky world, the water world. So there's worlds within worlds. So there's a lot of things that exist right here on Earth that we may think that come from outer space, that come from right here. Advanced technology, things that we call UFO, they said as above, so below. So what you think that may be coming from above could be coming from below, you know. And I know the real ones gonna relate, because what you call, you know, outer space, you know, for the deep thinkers would understand and overstand that the ocean is space and the space is the ocean. The waters above just like the waters below. Inner earth, etc. So to me, for sure, it's not far fetched. And of course, it's probably a lot more land and continents, etc., that, we don't know of, because, they keep us from the truth in plain sight, So it may very well be, extraterrestrial. I'm trying to be, you know, careful with the labels, but you get what I'm saying, like, because I know it's an extraterrestrial, interterrestrial, uh, terrestrial. There's a lot of different labels, and I think we get caught up in the ET type of thing we see on the TV, the gray aliens with the big eyes. How would you know what's really what they would label an alien? You could be talking to one, you could be working around one and not know it. And I do think there's a lot that goes on in this world in general, but Antarctica, from my understanding, from my understanding and overstanding, it is very cold there. But who knows? Once you get over there, who knows? It could be even nice weather. It could be reptilian humanoids, or ones that can change and look like white men and white women, or who knows, even different other races. Who knows? They shapeshift. The truth is stranger than fiction. You know what I'm saying? They put a lot of things in the movies on how people can shapeshift, and how, you know, the evil fallen angels know how to manipulate and shape shift into loved ones and different people. So you never know what you're dealing with, at the end of the day. Never doubt nothing, and always ask questions. I do believe that there's something over that ice wall in our Antarctica, but what that is, I couldn't tell you. But like I said, I've heard a lot of different what they would label conspiracy theories. Saying that they believe that's where even possible the Anunnaki is at, or or the grays, what they would call the gray aliens, or, like I said, the prehistoric mammoths and all these different, who knows, dinosaurs. I've heard a lot of things that people say that we don't think exist anymore that still exist. So, I'll do my due diligence more, you know, but for sure, I do believe that, they only tell us what they want us to know. And there's many reasons why you can't go in certain areas, restricted and this and that. And I believe Antarctica is just another one of those areas. Who knows? That could be a whole nother portal too. It may not even be any of that. It could be a portal over there. It could be, anything. You know, we don't know, but to believe that we're the only ones in this whole universe is crazy. Just like it's so many different life forms on this earth alone. For anyone to believe that, you know, certain things got to come from outer space. No, you just don't know what it is. You just don't know how to identify it. When they say UFO, unidentified flying object, that doesn't necessarily mean that have to come from outer space. But again, as above, so below. Space is the ocean. So yeah, I'll be dropping a part two. I do my due diligence, and yeah, more to come. So just know it could possibly be, it could possibly be different life forms or extraterrestrials or what you call aliens or the Anunnaki. Me personally, I believe it's a lot of beings everywhere, but I also believe that certain beings may not be able to take the sun. Certain beings may not be able to, uh, take hot temperatures. Certain beings may not be able to take too cold. So, they got to get in where they fit in. And this is why certain entities live in the inner earth as well. That sun is very harmful to them. You know, and you wonder why them planes are spraying things up above. You get it. But on that note, I'm gonna end the video. But like, comment, and subscribe, share. Turn on your post notifications. Hype up the videos. And more to come. But look in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. What's overstood don't have to be explained. I'm out. It's triple ones, the God. I own us 13, and I'm out.